Hello everyone, and welcome to something a little bit different today. We are going to be going through a TacView file of a really fun session that I recently had on the DCS Project Overlord World War II server. As you can see here, I was flying in a two-ship alongside Judas, both in our A8s, and we had a really fun session. Would have made a great video. I accidentally deleted the recording, which I'm absolutely kicking myself for, but hey-ho, lessons learned. So, fortunately, we do have the TacView still available. Project Overlord does automatically keep a repository of its TacView as it gets generated, and I just wanted to talk through this. Bit of a different style of video, but I think it's going to be interesting. We definitely had a lot of fun during this session, lots that we can take away from, so let's have a look at what happened. So here we are, just beginning the very first engagement, and this is Judas coming in on a P51 here. This engagement doesn't really amount to too much. As you can see here, the P51 has the speed advantage on Judas, and he is diving, getting away. We don't really want to be dragged down, so at this point we just abandon this opening little fight. Not really much in there, but nicely on this session we are being vectored in towards targets by a GCI. Brutus was on and was talking us on. On this server, the GCI does have very limited information. Basically, they get radar contacts, but no info on those, and so they need people to actually identify themselves or identify targets visually. As you can see here, we're just abandoning this fight, so let's skip on to the next part, which is us being vectored in to some more targets that are coming in. So this is just a few minutes later. Now, one thing that doesn't come out overly well on the TacView is there was a really thick cloud layer on this particular mission right under the level where we are. And a lot of the combat was happening just above the cloud layer with planes dipping in and out of it. And so quite a few of us are being vectored in on this lone Spitfire here, who's been dipping in and out of the clouds. You can see there are plenty of blue on, they are just a little bit further away here. But this guy's found himself isolated and outnumbered. And so here we are, I'm going head on with him. I'm not sure which of these two is the hostile, so I do hold off until I get positive ID, do pull the trigger there. A little bit too little too late, I do miss there. Spitfire does have this 109 right on his tail. There is more shots exchanged, but nothing really gets done there. The Spitfire can outturn everything in this fight, but he is heavily outnumbered. You can see here he's swinging on in. I roll over to keep my eye on him. Unfortunately, Spitfire has now positioned himself very nicely to come up right behind my wingman Judas here. And he does have the speed advantage on this 109 that is trailing him. I don't see the 109 at this point, I'm just focused on trying to clear Judas's tail. I sprayed there, not particularly wanting to hit as much as hoping to spook the Spitfire. Spitfire does stay on target, fires a clip, doesn't get anywhere. And at this point the Spitfire realises he's in a little bit of trouble. The 109 has caught up with him. Spitfire dives into the cloud layer. At this point I am completely blind. This is all just thick cloud. Spitfire pulls off a very nice manoeuvre here and in the cloud loops around so that when we're emerging from the cloud down here, he is right on my 6. I do spot him at this point as I'm turning around and decide to try and get my nose around to re-engage. However, I've really not got the turning rate for this one, so you see him coming down, and in that one manoeuvre I've completely lost the advantage. He is on my tail. I'm now defensive and giving panicked calls out to Judas, who is trying to find me. I decide that I'm going to try and dive here. I take a tiny knock, really nothing bad at this point, just diving down, and then I get lucky. The Spitfire rips his wings at that point. He was trying to follow me in the dive, so he built up a lot of speed, and then he tried to yank the stick as best as I can tell while I was yanking the stick. But the 190 can take a lot better high speed turns like that, and the Spitfire really can't. Very manoeuvrable, but its wings do snap off and DCS quite easily. So there it goes. Don't know if you want to award me with that manoeuvre kill or not, but I will definitely take it, and if nothing else, I am alive at this point. Now, a short while later, Judas and I recombine. You can see here I'm in a slight trail of him, and we get vectored in on what we're told is an unknown contact over here, but as we get closer, we do see that kind of telltale shape of the Spitfire. Really nothing quite like the Spitfire, so you really can pick it out. Unfortunately, as you can see here with all of these blue circles, we are now over blue territory. We're over the beachhead in Normandy, and so we are running out of time. Pretty sure the Spitfire is trying to RTB, and we're just trying to catch him here. Advantage we do have is because he is slowing down for the landing, Judas is catching him here, but we can see Judas is taking AAA fire. I'm not in a position to really help. I'm just trying to catch up and keep an eye on Judas's tail more than anything else. At this point we're quite a bit desperate, trying to get there. You can see the Spitfire really slowing down for that landing. He hasn't noticed Judas is coming in, and Judas rapidly approaches, sprays, gets a really good hit. The Spitfire at this point is on fire and goes straight down. So that's a clean kill there to Judas, and then we know we're in trouble here, so we flip around and immediately start heading back the way that we come. Now, nice thing there, we managed to join up. Not so nice thing, there is this other Spitfire. Didn't know at the time this was AI, you can see that in the track file here. But this Spitfire is very much focused on Judas right now, and unfortunately for the Spitfire, fortunately for Judas, the Spitfire just slots himself in right in front of my nose here, and so this does offer me a very nice opportunity. I am struggling to quite get the correct angle here. I do fire a bit, mostly nervous about this guy killing Judas. Fire a bit more, get a good shot there, and what isn't too clear is that's done quite a bit of damage. And then as I come around, whip off a couple more shots, the Spitfire does actually catch fire at this point, and that was his pilot bailing there. So quite happy with that. Nice, happy, easy opening kill for me. So that's one to Judas, one to me, and a maneuver kill to me. Now, unfortunately, while I was dealing with that, Judas has picked up yet another Spitfire on his tail here. Now, I'm trying to clear the tail. I know that I'm out of effective weapon range here. What I was trying to do with that burst is just give the Spitfire something to think of, hope that it makes the Spitfire turn and break off. Unfortunately, he doesn't. What we end up with here is a really quite long chase. You can see here that I am catching up with the Spitfire, but the Spitfire really isn't going that slowly. And so we are kind of at a standoff here. I'm slowly gaining distance here, but you see the Spitfire is speeding up, so I am barely capturing at all. We do have this other 109 behind us. That 109 is struggling to keep up, but he will come back into the fight a bit later. So this does take a while, so I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Now, this is a few minutes later. I decide that right now I'm getting in about as good a position as I can be. It's been quite a long run now. I can see Judas is just holding straight. I decide this is about as good as I'm going to be. I want to pull the trigger before he sees me, but want to be within range so I get a killing shot on the first go. Do kind of leave it a little bit too long. And one thing that I did not know at the time that is very important, This guy has help. A P-51 has joined the trail midway through that. Now the Spitfire begins to break here. I realise that he's seen me, and so I start firing. And unfortunately I messed that up. If I'd pulled the trigger a little bit earlier while he was still straight, I could have got that kill nice and easily. Unfortunately, there I completely mess up. Still, I'm feeling pretty good. I still don't know about this P-51 here. The Spitfire is right on my nose, right where I want him to be. Enter a climb. I fire. I do get some decent hits on that Spitfire, but then the P-51 clips me. Now everything gets a little bit more serious. So with the P-51 now engaging me, I am going fully defensive. Judas comes in, having spotted what was going on. He gets decent hits, clips the tail off that P-51, and you can see it just tumbling away there. At this point, the P-51 doesn't have the tail, so that's a second clean kill to Judas. We do, however, still have the Spitfire. The Spitfire turns, eyes on Judas, and tries to re-engage him. Spitfire is damaged from my pass, but he still definitely thinks he can keep this fight going. Judas at this point is just trying to extend and disengage. He does have the speed, he's extending out there. Now, unfortunately at this point, I'm having trouble seeing these guys. Again, really easy to see on the TacView, but at the time these two were flying very low level. I pass right over them. But very luckily, that Spitfire does eventually go down. The damage I did during that little pass finally finishes him off. And that leaves the two of us absolutely clear here. We do have other planes in the area, but we didn't actually need any of their help towards the end there. And so yeah, after that we managed to get our bearings, limp back to base. Judas gets down before I do, but I do manage to come down, and so we are very happy with that little run. Between us, that is 5 kills if you want to count the manoeuvre kills, so we're calling that a shared ace. Really, really fun session. Really annoyed that I lost the actual master recording of it, and of course DCS being DCS, the track file very much broke. But this was a really enjoyable session, really had a lot of fun in the A8 here, so big thank you to Judas for flying out with me. Thank you everyone at home for watching this, and I hope to catch you in a future video. If you do like this kind of video, let me know and I'll put out some more in the future. Otherwise, just remember to be kind to yourselves and everyone else. Cheers.